I'm rolling.
Okay, as part of regular maintenance of the machine to keep it running well, the primary moving parts are these slide stops, which you move manually. And every day we just spray them down with a little silicone, slide them a few times, it keeps them working nicely. Down in under here are two more tubes, which the saw blades ride on pneumatically when they're coming up to cut the wood. We just wipe those off about once a week and spray it down. Spray a little silicone on there, and that keeps those working perfectly. That's really about all of the machine maintenance you have to perform. This box right here was installed at the factory for this particular machine only, and converts it from a 3-phase power machine to a 2-phase power machine, so it runs on 2-phase 220 volts.
Okay, go.
From here, the whole thing?
No, we're good.
Did I talk about this already?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And so the blades direct mount, they're direct drive electric motor blades, and I can't move them. Well, can't move them now because of the power, the air pressure's on. But they move this way and this way. This one first, that one second on each cut. So let's close the lid down so it'll safely fire up, and we'll saw some wood. Okay. When closing the lid, this particular handle has to be screwed all the way down because there is a safety switch under here, and the machine will not operate unless this is in its complete lockdown and tight position. These are manual stops that you can use. Where's my piece of wood? Here's my piece of wood. These are manual stops you can use, basically wrap down around your wood to keep the sawdust in there. You have two vacuum hoses that come out either side of the machine, so there's always positive air movement going into the machine and out the vacuum hoses, so there's very little dust involved in the process. You set your first production stop. Well, first you have to make your first cut, that's right. So to get your first bevel cut, bring it in and slide it to the center. If you can see that.
Wait.
Bring it in and slide it to the center so that that blade will cut off that bit of off-fall there. Bring this stop physically, manually, bring it right up and just put it against the wood. Then over here you turn the saw on. This turns the power on, and there is a line light that comes on. And in Italy, a line light is a power light. And the kill switch has to be off, and the air pressure has to be on. And when the air pressure's on, you get what's called a motor alarm, which simply says there's air pressure, but the motor's not on. Push the start button. You can hear the saws fire up. When they get up to speed, you can't see them yet. When they get up to speed, we'll push these two buttons, and you will watch as the blade comes in. That's it, that's your first cut. Use the kill switch to turn the saw off. And pressure sometimes, this piece of wood doesn't have a bevel in it, a rabbet in it, so the okay. Then to cut your first joint, you bring your production stop over and you line it up. Say we want a 9-inch frame here, or you line it up. Yep. And lock it down. This is your first stop for your first measurement. This is the second stop for the second measurement. So this stop comes up to get out of your way for your second cut.
Nice.
So to make your first cut, drop your stop down, slide the wood up against the first cut, turn the saw on, get these stops up, turn the saw on, you have to turn the kill switch off every time, and then you'll watch it make 2 cuts. Making the first cut, and then backs away. Then the next blade comes in and makes a second cut. Pull up your production stop. Been a while since I used it. And that's your first miter. Absolutely perfect. So bring your cut over to your second production stop. Turn the saw on. And you don't need to turn the saw off during these processes either.
Right, if you're in the middle of production.
Yeah. In production, you leave the saw blades running all the time, except all the time that you're actively sawing. And that's your second one. And you have, voila, an absolutely perfect.
Wow, that is
Miter.
perfect. Okay. Now, Eddie, if you could also just give me a tour of the machine itself. We've got the control panel there.
On the control
Okay.
On the control panel, you've got your major off and on power when your power is on, and by the way, it's also equipped with a lockout device. So if you need to turn it off and lock it out, you've got a place to put your lockout lock here. When it's on, of course, the no lockout devices are disabled. The line light comes on to show that power is on. You always want to make sure that you always turn the saw off with the kill switch. So you always want to make sure the kill switch is reactivated. When there is appropriate air power, pneumatic power, you'll have the motor alarm light coming on. Why the Italians call it motor alarm, I don't know. It just means that there's power coming to it. And then up here, you have the switch that turns the air off and on. You hear it release its air pressure. Now you hear it. And that generally can stay in that position most all the time.
Right, so if you flip that off, you probably can move the air devices.
Well, but you really don't need to. When
Yeah.
you're in, this is supposed to let go. It's right
Yeah.
now, it's
Okay.
not always. It will, and when in function, it will start letting go easily. It's just,
Okay.
this machine hasn't been used in a while. Behind this panel, these are Allen wrenches. Behind this panel is an electronic box where there are, I think, 12 different modules that contain all of the circuitry and electronics. This is the electrical side over here. This is the air pressure side over here, and you basically have the two gauges that give you your air pressure readings. This panel down here, which comes off, allows you to empty the scrap out of the box, because the whole box functions as your holding receptacle for all of the off-fall
Right.
that comes off of your work.
Okay.
Over here, you've got air pressure coming in, and you've got a double, what do they call it? A double tank or double piston regulator system. At the bottom, on both sides of the machine, you have exhaust hoses, which you hook up your exhaust system that keeps the sawdust controlled. And over on the other side, you have the electrical line coming in, which is, in this case, 220 double phase.
And right now, this is plugged into the ceiling, so there's a good long cord on it to be able to run it pretty much anywhere you need to.
There are a few tools that you sometimes use in the machine. Now, the machine as you see it is just a machine. Right here, there is an arm that goes out for, I think, 4 feet to that side, and there's an arm that goes out 6 or 8 feet to that, 6 feet to that side, so that you can, we made frames up to 6 and 7, 8 feet per frame, per each side, very accurately. But they bolt in right here. There are some tools you need for the crescent wrench tools are here. All the specialized tools, what few there are to remove the blades and so forth, are in this wrap right here. You can tweak, at this point you can tweak the speed with these two knobs, the speed at which the blade comes in and goes out. Some people working a hard, fast production schedule want those blades to move quickly so they can cut more and more frames. We kind of found a happy medium, because if you move the blade quickly, of course you're sharpening the blades more often. If you move the blade a little bit slowly, you develop less friction, and the blade point life is a little bit greater. So we kind of found a happy medium. I think we were producing at our typical level about 50 to 70 frames a day, and that was the speed we've got it set at is a good speed that conserves blade sharpness and gets the job done.
Okay, I think we're good.
What we didn't show, we were looking down in here when we're doing the cutting, but once you get ready to make the cut, you have to use these two buttons simultaneously,
Uh-huh.
so your hands are kept safely away from any cutting edges.